Hey everyone, it's the long lost book Cougars. We are back. Two middle-aged women on the hunt for a good read. We've been out hunting.
We have been. We've been on the prowl.
Yes, I'm Emily.
And I'm Chris. And in this video, we're going to tell you about our Friday reads, like what we're currently reading, maybe a little bit of what we have read.
Yes.
And then we're going to talk about our third quarter read-along pick.
In our year of reading ghost stories. So much to talk about. We're so happy to be back together.
We are, indeed.
We've both been prowling.
Meow, 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 meow. All right, Emily, so what are you currently reading?
I am reading a book that Aunt Ellen told me I needed to read. And when Aunt Ellen speaks, I listen. This is called Beautyland by Marie-Helene Bertino. This is the paperback version. It's been out for a little while, and it won Best Book of the Year. Well, it didn't win. It was, announced as a Best Book of the Year by the New York Times Book Review, Esquire, Time, Elle, Goodreads, WBEZ Chicago, named a best sci-fi book of all time by Esquire, and a must-read by a lot of places.
Oh,
It's got high praise.
never heard of it.
No. I mean, I remember seeing the cover because it's a very memorable cover, and it's about a child. The opening that I read is the mother is giving birth to the child. The child's not really from here. Maybe a little bit of an alien type or just a misfit, and ends up communicating via fax machine to report back about the oddities of Earthlings. Imagine that. There are a few oddities with Earthlings.
Wow.
So I think it's kind of the idea of, if you feel like you don't fit in or are othered. I'm not really sure. I didn't want to read too much about it.
So when was this published? Like, I'm curious about the whole fax machine connection.
Yeah, fax machines. I think it's funny when people use fax machines, but supposedly they are much safer than sending emails and texts and
That's
things.
why the federal government still uses them.
Right, exactly.
So.
And if you ever have to communicate with the IRS, it's via fax machine. It's why libraries, thank goodness, still have fax machines. Anyway, enough about that. Copyright 2024.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I remember seeing the cover last year, and the paperback just came out.
Nice.
So thank you to Aunt Ellen for this recommendation. I am getting on an airplane tomorrow, and we'll be reading it.
So I am reading Silus Mariner by George Eliot. It's not a big book or anything. Oh, that's my little note about when I purchased it. December 29th, 2023. Was a good day. Yeah, so I just started it. I'm only 2 chapters in. And, George Eliot, and I feel like I had the same experience when I read Middlemarch. And I think it was Adam Bede I read in college, was my first experience with her. Like, I feel like her novels are hard to get into for me. And I know it has something to do with her style. Because, and also just like coming off of a Stephen King novel, it's, getting into the style takes some time for me. But then before I know it, like, I don't want to put it down. And I always look forward to picking it back up again. So I'm doing this as a buddy read with Kate, our friend who lives down in the Bronx. We read a classic every quarter together. And this is our second one for this year. And then I'm also reading A Century of Queer Korean Fiction. This is edited and translated by Samuel Perry. And I've read a few of the stories so far, and the introduction is really excellent. These are stories, I think the earliest one is like 1917, and they're, queer stories in a culture where being queer is complicated for a variety of reasons, not just your typical heteronormativity that is kind of universal, but there's also issues with Japanese domination and oppression of Korean people, like feminizing Korean men. So look forward to digging into more of these stories. Thank you to, this was through the Modern Language Association's press, they sent us this review copy, and thank you to them for that.
I just wanted to talk about finally finishing Feeding Ghosts, a graphic memoir by Tessa Hulls. This won the Pulitzer Prize this year in biography memoir. And it's taken me 2 months to read it, I think. I just went to the library last night to check out books, and they wouldn't let me because this book is so overdue.
Yeah, how many dollars in fines?
$40.
I mean, here, thankfully, they let go of your fines once you return the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was like, "Do you know what book it is?" And I was like, "I do, actually. It's sitting on my bedside table." I have really taken my time with this. Chris and I have talked before about how graphic novels are tricky for us because we tend to focus on the words. What I did with these pages was I read through it, looked at the pictures after I finished reading, went back and read them. But the story is unbelievable. It's about her journey, Tessa's journey of learning about the history of her grandmother and her mother's fleeing from China and how she ended up having the relationship she did with both of them. And it is such a fantastic book. It's definitely going to be in my top 10 for the year, maybe even my top 10 of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, I think what she did with this is unbelievable. I also wanted to just show, she taught herself to draw in order to do this. And this is a really amazing image where she's talking about the importance of reading in books in her life. And I just thought the way she captured that, which Chris can't see because I'm blocking her, sorry.
Oh, yeah, cool.
And she said, I discovered the rules of healthy emotional interaction through books, devouring the fictional lives of characters and creating an indexed reference library of human behavior in my mind. Wow. And then she has a great bibliography, or I guess it's more like, I would call it, well, I guess it's a bibliography. She just put it under notes that tells you the page number and the book that she's referencing. Cannot recommend this highly enough. And if you're not a graphic novel reader, I actually think this is a more novelistic version of a book. Not novelistic, I'm sorry, because it's a memoir. A more like full-fledged book reading experience because there's so many words on each page.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it did take me a couple months to read it. Again, it's called Feeding Ghosts by Tessa Hulls. I'm so glad she won the Pulitzer. It's her first book.
That's cool.
Took her 10 years to write.
Do you know if she's still writing? Is she writing something new now, do you know? Or
I don't think so. I mean, she might be doing articles. She had been published before, with essays and things like that, so she might be going back to that. But I think just winning the Pulitzer has probably really been a shock for her, and yeah. I don't know. I'm speaking for Tessa. I don't know. I went to her website and she said, kind of, yikes.
Yeah.
I won the Pulitzer.
Yeah.
I'm going, she travels a lot, and so I think she went on kind of a, went on a jaunt to absorb.
Yeah, you can't find me.
Exactly,
I'm
exactly. I may have won a Pulitzer, but I've disappeared myself.
Yeah, wow. Well, so episode 236 just dropped earlier this week, and in that episode we announced our pick for our third quarter read-along in our year of reading ghost stories, and that book is
The Upstairs House by Julia Fine. No
relation to Emily Fine, we don't think.
Not that I know of. Yeah.
I never know.
Might need to 23andMe it. But this is about a woman who has given birth and is suffering a little bit from postpartum depression. Somebody moves in upstairs, and we believe that it is the character Margaret Wise Brown, who is a real person, an author.
Da-da-da. Is this familiar to anyone?
Goodnight Moon, a classic.
Yes.
I know that book by heart.
Yeah.
I read it a lot to my kids. It's so interesting. So there's a tie-in where the mother was working on her dissertation, which I believe is about the author Margaret Wise Brown. So very curious to see how she pulls this all together.
Yeah. And then so we have the book, which is the main read along, And then we have a companion read.
A classic.
Yes, Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. It's a short story. It was published in 1892. And there are some inspirations. And the ghost just got my throat.
Not inspirations.
I got a throat full of ghosts.
It's a fact.
It's a fact that this book helped influence the upstairs house.
Yes.
And if you're interested in joining us, shoot us an email. The conversation for this book will be August.
The Zoom read-along discussion will be on August 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern. We also already have a Goodreads thread going. We'll put a link to that down below. We'd love to know if you've read The Yellow Wallpaper. I can vividly remember reading this book or this short story and being blown away.
Yeah.
And very curious to see how it informs this one. We also want to show you these incredibly cute stamps.
Oh, yes.
Goodnight Moon stamps just came out from the U.S. Post Office. Oh my God, so
adorable.
cute. Get yourself a set.
Yeah.
And write some cards to your favorite people. I'm not shitting you. I'm just making a suggestion.
Yeah. People love to get mail.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
So yesterday when I went to check out Goodnight Moon, and I went to the librarian in the kids section, and I said, can you help me? Because I'm kind of lost in this section where board books are versus the picture books and everything. So she's like, oh, come on. We have a whole section here of Margaret Wise Brown. Like, they have, like, for the hot authors, they have their own sections. So you just go there. So in addition to Goodnight Moon, I also checked out The Indoor Noisy Book, which is about a puppy who is sick and all the things that he hears or can't hear. A Little Chicken. This is about a little chick who is befriended by a bunny. I think Margaret liked bunnies. And then The Important Book. And then another important book.
Oh, interesting.
So I read all of these last night. It was really fun to read them. And The Important Book, this first one, let's see, when did this one come out? 1949. And I just love the color of some of these older picture books. And then the first thing that's important is spoons. And I love spoons. I often choose spoons over forks.
Me too.
Yeah, I love them.
Yes.
Laura thinks I'm a bit strange in that regard. Now, another important book, this is the follow-up. It has a different illustrator. And you know what? It doesn't have a title page with the publication date. But this one is a little bit of a later book, and it has some diversity in it in terms of what skin tones of babies are represented. But at the very end, you know what's important? You are.
Oh, how sweet.
Oh, look at it's doing that thing where it's like in the video reflection and the camera. Okay, anyway.
Oh,
there we are. Oh,
that's
not working. There's Emily's cleavage. There we go. Okay, enough of that. So
I don't think that was Margaret Wise Brown's intention.
You never know.
You never know. That's true.
We're going to learn more about her.
Yes, we are. So
after reading this,
join us. And reminder about your Ghost Story Bingo card. We will put a link to your ability to download this as well. And you could check off your Q3 box if you read this book along with us.
Yeah, I need to update
And then
mine.
I thought the Yellow Wallpaper was on here. Maybe not. Oh, yes, it is.
It is on there.
Yeah.
Cool, look at that.
Yeah. So you could get 2 boxes checked off your bingo card. You're welcome.
On that happy note, happy reading.